Hey guys, welcome back to Two Girls, One Bong.
The podcast that's better when you're stoned, but it's okay if you're not. My name is MacDizzle.
And I'm Joya.
Let's dive on in.
See,
I beat you.
As
long as I just do it fast, you can't beat me. You can't get me.
Oh.
All right, so today, what day is it? It's Monday,
It's
January
Monday.
24th. It's a new year. It was our new year last time we recorded. You know,
It was.
It's still that year.
It's still a new year though, so that's good.
Exciting stuff, 2022. People have died since our last podcast.
Lots of people have died.
Who died most recently?
Mugler.
No, there was like somebody
designer.
the guy who
Meatloaf died.
The guy Meatloaf.
I would do anything for love. But I won't do that. I saw a pie chart that was like, it was Moshe that posted it, and it was a pie chart, and it said like,
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
for
about.
Love. And it's all one color. I think it was all red, and it said anything, but then there was a little green square that said that, and that was nowhere on the pie chart.
He won't fucking do that. I'll tell you
He
what.
won't do
Sorry,
that.
we're in the middle of a podcast, and I'm gonna straighten my bangs because I didn't realize that they were giving this gorgeous swoop.
Yeah. Wait, why do you
don't
want to
like that
straighten?
gorgeous swoop? I hate that swoop. I'm getting rid of that swoop.
I think it looks very natural and cute with your hair.
Well, thanks. I hate it.
I know that Rajul's main man took a bad loss on Saturday. Was he okay after that?
Oh, we're not talking. Yeah, luckily he's not in the house, so he can't hear me talking about it. But yeah, it was a hard day.
Rajul, Mackenzie's boyfriend,
it was a hard day
is a
yesterday.
huge Tom Brady fan. Tom Brady took a pretty bad loss. A lot of teams took a really bad loss this weekend. So,
well, it was a remarkable comeback.
Yes,
that he had made. He was down 21-3 or something. It was
an amazing freaking
all
game.
The way back.
Yes, and you know what? During that game, I went to Walmart because I was like, "Oh, the Rams are gonna win." There was like 4 minutes left, and I went to Walmart to go grab some
and you
stuff.
like came back, and you're like,
"Well, no, I heard." So I'm at Walmart. I'm only grabbing a few things, and I was hurrying anyway because there was another game on. But I was in there, and I heard somebody go, "Fuck yeah!" scream. And so I was like, there must have been something. And then Adam calls me and it's like, they just scored and they just got the ball. They scored and then they recovered the ball back within like a minute of the other team having it.
Yeah.
So that was like a crazy freaking game. But I was thinking about Rajul after it ended because I know he loves Tom Brady.
Plot twist. The person in the grocery store wasn't screaming about the game. He just found some apples on sale. He was really
that would be accurate.
Fuck yeah!
He wasn't in the produce section, but if he had been, that's probably what I would have assumed.
So yeah, it was a pretty devastating loss for the Bucs yesterday. He's hoping that Brady's gonna retire.
That's what it kind of seems like.
But
I was kind of laughing because I was like, okay, like he has one freaking year where he doesn't go to the conference championship, and he's like, yeah, I'm reconsidering. Although he is old as fuck, so makes sense.
He's literally old as hell.
Yeah.
He's had 23 seasons.
Yeah,
that's longer than like anyone.
That's what they were saying, that he's been in more playoff games than another quarterback had been in his entire career, like regular. So
yeah,
well, enough about football anyway.
Yeah. I don't really care about football that much. Gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I'm eating the crumbs.
Those are delicious. That's why.
Yeah.
You have to get the crumbs.
Really
She's eating the crumbs of the everything pretzel crisps.
Pretzel crisps. I guess you're right. Pretzel bagels. That sounds delicious. That actually sounds fantastic. A pretzel.
Well.
So let's take a hit of weave since we're here.
I was just about to say that. I just packed mine. So if you are not driving or operating any vehicles or caring for, even if you are caring for children, just don't blow it to them.
Yeah,
take a long rip with us.
Shotgun it to them. Shotgun weed to your baby. I hope whoever's listening to this understands my sick and demented sense of humor.
I think they do, but.
Like if I had a baby and I heard that, I would be like,
yeah.
And I would look at my baby and I'd be like, you.
Like, obviously,
You know?
I'm not gonna shotgun my baby. Obviously, it's a joke,
I'm
but
shotgun a beer with my baby.
fuck yeah. Oh my god, actually, that'd be so funny. Give like a baby like a beer bong of like milk or something. Because they can't. Can you believe that babies can't have water for the first like fucking I don't know however
What?
many months of they can't have water till they're like I don't know like 6 months old or something. That could be wrong.
I did
but
not
they
know
can't
that
have
to be a fact.
because it has no nutritional
I
value
would have killed
whatsoever.
my baby. Do they give you
Do
that
they tell
rule book
you?
when you leave the hospital? They're like,
Yeah, I
by
don't
the way,
know.
don't give your baby water, or like you're just supposed to know that.
I don't know. I guess so because I didn't know that. I didn't know that until there was pictures of Summer Walker giving her baby water on the internet, and people were like, "You can't give your baby water. Like, there's nothing in it. Like, everything that they intake needs to have nutritional value when they're that new." And water obviously does not have nutritional value. So yeah, it would be
because
cool if there
her
was a
organs
rule
are
book.
gonna work to.
They
Please.
need that.
But
Okay, I'm
also,
ready
like,
if you are.
how sure are we that
Oh,
water
I
is
mean,
bad? Anyways, I don't know.
I think that's a thing.
Cheers.
Cheers. Dang, mine was chugging
Like, do
there
they
for
give
a
you, like-
second.
I feel like when you have a baby, the hospital should give you like a do's and don'ts list. You know, do breastfeed, don't give them water.
Yeah,
You know,
you would
don't
think
do
so.
this, do not shake. You know,
Yeah, do not shake. Yes, I would hope they would do that because
you fucking
there's
do that.
also things like you're not supposed to leave your baby in its crib with like a blanket. Like there's not supposed to have anything in their crib
when they're that young.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because they could
I
like
didn't fucking know
asphyxiate
that.
themselves with a blanket. Isn't that
Mhm.
wild?
Mm-hmm. But who would have thought?
That's why
like
you're
you
supposed
just
to
think
swallow
babies
them like
blankets.
a burrito.
Yes, so they can't even like touch themselves or do anything.
You
also
like,
they put like mittens on them because they'll scratch
themselves.
their own fucking eyes out.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
My little sister had the sharpest little fingernails when she was born. I don't know what it is about babies' fingernails. They're so jagged.
And the grip of baby fingers is fucking terrifying.
They just dig in. They really do.
Yeah.
And I respect that about babies.
Me too. I also respect that about babies. They give it their all. They go all in.
They 110%, and I can't ask for any more than that.
Yeah, from a newborn baby, I don't think
that.
so.
Yeah, all this baby talk is just reminding me that I'm not ready for one.
Neither am I, but I do want one. Every day I have to fight myself.
Oh my god! He said, "But I do want one."
I do want one, but I made a bet, and I'm saying I'm not ready.
Yeah, like 6 months ago, I made a bet that you were going to be pregnant within 18 months, and so I still got 12 months on that bet, and I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to it. Within the next 12, I think it's going to happen.
It might be.
Shit. She said, ooh.
And so before then, I'm gonna get fucking ripped.
She's gonna get really high
and fucking wasted.
Well, it's okay because remember when I had to be sober for 6 months?
Yeah, and it was like totally doable. And you're fine.
I can do that for you. We'll be fine.
Yeah,
just like plus an extra 3 months. It'll be fun. Super funsies. All right, and on that note, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to be talking about Marilyn Monroe, the conspiracy around her death.
I don't know why I did that. That was like a ghost noise.
I liked it a lot.
Okay,
all right, we'll see you guys in just 1 second.
And we're back.
Looking back. Okay, so today we're talking about Marilyn Monroe and the conspiracy surrounding her death.
Yes.
We did not have the same material to watch. We watched different things. And I believe Joya focused most of her research on like her early life, development, career, things like that. Whereas I focused my search entirely on the day of, basically. So
I have a lot more too than her upbringing and her career because there's been There was like a big release of documents in 2007 and another one in 2017. So like fairly recently.
Interesting. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So why don't you
So,
start with her like early life and stuff?
well, her real name was Norma Jean
Norma
Mortensen.
Jean.
And then she became Norma Jean Baker because that was her mom's last name. And she didn't know her dad. Her dad wasn't present.
Yeah, I heard she grew up in foster care.
Yeah, so her mom actually was diagnosed schizophrenic and was institutionalized when she was young. And so she was in and out of foster homes. They said that she suffered all types of abuse, physical, sexual, psychological, and
I
started
can
using
only
drugs.
imagine.
Right. And it's so the fucking foster system and that whole thing is so fucked. We fail so many people. So she resorted to drugs like from a fairly young age, and she also got married at 16. I didn't know that. Which
Oh
was fairly,
wow.
I mean, like there's a lot of people who got married that young.
Was she really was she popular at that time?
No, so she worked, it was during the war. She married a guy in the army and he like went overseas. She was working, they said she did her part in the war by working at a munition factory in Van Nuys actually. And
Oh,
there was an
interesting.
army photographer that came to the factory to like take photos of the women, Rosie the Riveter doing their
Mm-hmm.
part. And he basically was like, "You're fucking gorgeous. You're
Get out of
beautiful."
here.
Yes. And so
And
she
that's
started
accurate. She is
modeling.
that.
Yes. Oh my God. Like seeing clips of her, like seeing her, she was
So
just like
naturally just
unbelievably like,
Stenosha.
yes, dude. Like so many people go to the freaking doctor to get fucking
Doctor.
filler. And like, she's just like literally just was perfect, like naturally. But also in a lot of these clips that we see of her, she's so fucked up on drugs. Like she had a
Yes.
hardcore drug problem. So she
Yes.
started doing the modeling thing, and her husband was away at war. And when he came back, she had done 33 magazine covers, and he divorced her. He was like, yeah, like you're a freaking harlot. You're a slut.
Yeah, she
And
experienced a lot of rejection, which is insane to me.
yeah.
Because she, like, there must have been something. Obviously, there's layers. I didn't know her, but I was like, why would you look at her? How
Yeah.
could you ever?
Literally what? Like insane. Because she also married another guy a couple years later, and he also was like recorded saying that she was embarrassing to him, that he like felt embarrassed of her in front of his friends and stuff. And I'm just like, men are trash. They're horrible.
What the hell? It's Marilyn Monroe, like the sweetheart of America, and you're embarrassed of her? Question mark?
Yeah.
What the hell? Tell me a little bit about her career.
So she was doing the modeling thing for a while, and she did get into acting, but she was kept being cast for these like ditzy, dumb blonde, over sexualized roles. And there's actually one
and she
where
was a smart girl.
yeah, she was like, "Fuck this." So there's actually they had one clip of a movie that she starred in where there's this one part where she's not even like, she's not like shaking her ass. I guess she is shaking her ass by 1950s standards, but it's literally just like a moving back and forth. It's not like she's like, I don't know what the scene was, right? But there's this close-up shot of her butt moving, and then these men are like smacking her ass, and that's like part of the storyline. So yeah, it's like super, I mean, horrible. So a few years into her acting career, she decides, she's like, I want to be taken more seriously with this. I don't want to play these stupid ditzy dumb blonde roles, over sexualized roles. So she goes to this art school and acting school in New York. And that is where
she met an acting coach there. Yeah.
Yes, who she became super close with, and he's actually who she left a lot of her belongings to. Because, and later in the episode we'll get to that, there's information uncovered from the things that she gave to him. I don't know if she had a will or whatever, but he received a lot of her belongings after she died, and something gets found in there. So when she's in New York City is when her drug abuse gets like really, really bad, and she develops this like horrible reputation that's like she's difficult to work with, doesn't care about anybody but herself.
Having like affairs.
She's having affairs with dozens of men. But I don't think that was what was interfering with her work. It was the drugs.
Yeah, it was more so
the drug abuse. So she is.
So, and you're saying so that's leading up to her death, right?
Yeah. So yes. So she has drug problems like for most of her life. 1946 is when she adopts the name Marilyn Monroe. That's when she becomes Marilyn Monroe. By the time leading up to her death, absolutely. So she dies 16 years later in 1962.
1962.
But yeah, she had developed a horrible reputation for just being difficult, always showing up late, sometimes not showing up at all. No, like just no showing, no call. Also definitely had overdosed multiple times over that period as well. That drug problem was definitely a big issue for her.
But it sounded like she just needed some real help, and she wasn't getting that. I know that she had a therapist, but that therapist was also not helping her. He like grew feelings for her. It was like all very
the psychiatrist
like, implicated in her death. He's implicated in her death, actually. Greenson or something. I wrote it down.
Yeah, I didn't know that he was romantically interested in her.
It was, there's like a clinical term for it. It's, I don't remember what the fucking
when the doctor is romantically interested in the patient.
It's like there's like a clinical term for it.
Ugh, that means there's probably been
so that was kind of uncovered.
Oh my gosh.
That is so unprofessional. Are you fucking, she didn't need another man to try to fucking sexualize her. She needs some fucking help. She needs some women around her, honestly. She needs some good women.
Know. Yeah. Well, did you read about, so in 1961, she was institutionalized? She committed herself.
Yes. Yeah, 1961, she basically was 3 divorces and 3 miscarriages in. She was institutionalized at that point, like in and out of institutions where she was given a lot of different pills.
She committed herself is what I read. Actually, she booked herself in, because I also read that she was for her whole life, because her mom was schizophrenic and was institutionalized. That was something that she lived in fear of. And then finally in 1961, she committed herself. And that's what the doctor told her, that she was very sick and that she had been very sick for a long time, which I think that was not received well by her, but had to have been very true, to be honest.
Well, I think she was sick in the sense of like she was self-medicating and doing it in that sense.
Yeah, drug addiction is a sickness.
Like she was using that to cope with other things. Yeah. There was a root problem that we weren't addressing. And she experienced like so much rejection, I feel like. Like leading up to her death, she was obviously having an affair with both of the Kennedy brothers. And
she was fucking JFK first, and then he was running for re-election. And so he's like, here, let me pass her to my bro.
Isn't that weird?
It is fucking weird. It's weird as fuck.
Like Hollywood people, like people in power, it's weird that they just like pass women around like that. Like, and there's like,
it's honestly the world of sex in the powerful. It's weird. All weird. Yeah. So
very fucking weird. I was saying at that point she got fired from her job at Fox Century.
Yes, at Fox. Fired. Yes, and they sued her.
Yeah, and something I'd like to note, I feel like this is all a very convenient portrayal of her to suit the narrative of her death. She was obviously not doing great psychologically.
Yeah.
But I also think that it has a lot to do with like the nature of the people that she was involved with. It wasn't necessarily just her being unwell. It was the fact that she was dealing with these people who were in immense amounts of power, just like
who were obviously using her. It seemed that most people around her were using her,
and she knew that. But like literally, so what's crazy is I'm gonna get into all of this, but there were a lot of people trying to find dirt on the Kennedys. And so, because of these rumors of the affair with Marilyn, they tapped her house. And so they put wiretaps in her house. Somebody from the mafia or who worked with the mafia put wiretaps in their house so that they could find information about the Kennedys. And allegedly, like, these tapes never went to court. It never went anything like that. And they have disappeared since the person who had them died. But, like, multiple people have come forward to say that they have heard these tapes. And on these tapes, you can hear her saying, "You guys are just using me. I'm tired of being used by you."
Wow.
And so, like, she was aware of it and she knew it. So, but that is like a whole other bag of worms, which is just like involved in like the conspiracy of like what happened to her.
Dude, that's crazy because
but-
when you
Go
said
ahead.
mafia, I saw something that there was people trying to say that the Kennedys had been working with the mafia. So that's interesting. I didn't see that somebody that the mafia had tapped her house in order to get dirt on the Kennedys.
So what they're saying is that Bobby Kennedy basically went to the head of the mafia and was like, "Look, if you take care of this, I'll get off of your back," because Bobby had been on their back for a long time. And so nothing really came to fruition of that. There's actually a lot of evidence that supports something contrary to that, saying that she was at home in LA when she was allegedly supposed to be meeting with this mafia person. So I don't know, but I do believe that those wiretaps were real, for sure. Like, the things that you hear these people quote about her, and then like the time of events and like the confirmation of witnesses, it's pretty compelling.
That also seems like something that's not even that hard to achieve. Now it might be hard in today's day and age, but in the 50s, 60s,
1962.
That's not that fucking hard to do. All you have to do is wait till she leaves and put some little thingies in her house, and no one would ever know. So that actually seems like a totally.
Who's gonna know?
Yeah, how would they know? They're gonna know.
No one's gonna know.
Wow, that's very interesting.
So what I've heard is that, I don't even know if this is true, but I heard that she had undiagnosed endometriosis.
Oh, ouchie.
Which was part of the reason that she was having like these drug problems and things like that. So
what's the correlation there?
I think that it might have just been like something that added to her uncomfortability as a human and uncomfortable in her own skin. Like, she's physically in pain, mentally in pain. I would do drugs and alcohol for sure. Well, endometriosis is incredibly painful. It's incredibly
physically
painful too.
Yeah.
So, and like hormonally, that can absolutely like not do some cute things.
Throw you off.
Yes. So basically, sequence of events, August 5th, 1962 is the day that she allegedly commits suicide. This is what she did that night. At 7 p.m., she calls her friend Peter, who is the brother-in-law of the president.
Fuck Peter.
At 8 p.m., she's asleep.
Wait. Peter Lawford is the brother-in-law of JFK?
I think so. Yeah, it's all connected.
No way.
Unless I wrote that note down wrong. And I'm pretty sure that he's the brother-in-law, and that's how they got introduced.
Oh my god. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I have to 8 p.m.
I didn't. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, definitely double check me. And then 8 p.m. she's asleep. At midnight, the maid notes that her light is on. At 3:30 a.m., she notes, and this is like according to the police report.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is he the brother-in-law?
Brother-in-law of President John F. Kennedy. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so 3:30 a.m., allegedly the light is on and the door is locked. And at that point, around 3:45, the psychiatrist shows up. She is apparently found nude, face down at 3:50 a.m. She's pronounced dead at 3:50 a.m. At 10:30 a.m.
She has the phone in her hand also when she's found dead.
I didn't hear that. Okay.
She's clutching
so what the officer said that it had looked staged to him. The first officer that arrived there, he was like, this, no. But then at 10:30 a.m., they did the autopsy, and they basically said probable suicide from sleeping pills, given that she had an emotional history. The way I see that is this, like, the easiest person to kill is an addict. The easiest person to kill is an addict, because it is so easy to make it look like an accidental overdose or anything like that, or somebody who's had a history of mental illness. It is so easy to make it look like a suicide. And especially in 1962, where the forensics were literally 60 years back from where we are right now. Like there's so many different things that we can do now to prove one thing or another. Yes. When it comes to suicide, but back in the day, I feel like it was just so much easier to get away with anything that you wanted to.
Absolutely. Which is terrifying to think about, to be honest. Like, you could get away with, to think of how many things that people in general got away with up until, because I think it was like in the 90s when they started with DNA, like when they first discovered that they could do
It was literally the 90s.
that.
It was literally the 90s. Yeah, DNA profiling. They started exonerating people out of prison because of it. It was insane. Right. Well, I mean, not enough people, but some. But basically, so she's pronounced dead at 3:50 a.m. and at 4:25, the LAPD gets their first call, and at 4:45, the first officer arrives. He questions the maid when he gets there, and he feels like she's being a little bit evasive. The doctor is already there, obviously, and he's like, she must have taken all these pills, and just points to this nightstand that has like 10 prescription bottles on it. Yeah, empty. He said that the body looked staged, and that's one thing that he's always like stuck with and said. Like when he first walked in, it like the doctor seemed a little bit sus when he was like, she took all of these, And on that note, we'll be right back, and we're gonna dive in more to this conspiracy. Ooh. Yes. Ooh. We'll see you in one moment.
And we're back.
Back. And we're going to dive right back into it. So leading up to Marilyn's death, like in the days leading up to it, she was getting increasingly erratic in the sense of wanting to expose the Kennedys. She had been under the impression that they were going to leave their wife and marry her. Yeah, that Robert was going to leave his wife and marry her, which is just fantasy, unfortunately.
Completely.
And so she was threatening to expose a lot of stuff against this family. I believe that she was in Los Angeles the day before her death, and there's 18 witnesses who placed Bobby at her house the night of her death.
Yes, and the housekeeper is one of them. And he had booked a hotel. He had booked the Beverly Hills Hotel the day.
And an officer saw him that night because he got pulled over in somebody else's car. And so that was one of the most credible witnesses because he was like a decorated like detective or sergeant or whatever. So he pulled over this car and Bobby was in the car in LA, even though he said, and they swear by and to this day say that he was in San Fran at that time. They say that he was in San Francisco at that time, but he was in LA, confirmed by 18 plus people.
Oh my God.
Additionally, because of these wiretaps, which some people say are real, some people don't, I'm writing on, I think they're real. There's conversations between him and her, and you can hear it escalate. It starts off fine, starts off cute. They're just having drinks, talking, and then at the end of it, he basically breaks up with her. And at that point, she's yelling at him to get out, and she tells him to leave, like, get out. I don't want you here anymore. You guys just fucking use me. Fuck off. And so he leaves. There's this huge fear, obviously, that she's going to go forward. And she has, did you hear about the Red Diary?
That went missing?
So the existence of it. So basically she had this journal or this diary that included all of her conquests with these people and all of the details that happened between them. And so when Bobby had left the first time, he wanted to go back and find that because he felt like that was basically her evidence. He wanted to go back and find that. And when he went back, she was on the phone with somebody else. She was on the phone with this Mexican director, and they were talking about something. And according to these tapes, the audio, she hears something happening in her guest house or whatever. And she says, I'll call you right back, or I'll be right back. I need to go see what this is. And she like hangs up, and she never calls him back, obviously.
What time was that supposed to be at?
Yeah. It's like afternoon, evening, I would say. Yeah, I did not know what time that was.
Well, definitely still relevant.
But like basically the timeline of events that they presented us with is not accurate. But so it's Bobby. Bobby's back, and he's with his posse or whatever, and they're looking for that diary in the guest house, and they're not able to find it. And she goes out there, and she's upset, and I told you to leave. I thought you were gonna go, blah 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 blah. And at that point, she becomes hysterical, Bobby can be heard saying, give her something to calm her down. And so they basically sedate her. And at that point, she's still alive, but they sedate her and she's unconscious at that point. And this is all based on witness hearsay, people who were there saying these things, and based off of these tapes. None of this is in the official report. And at that point, when she was still alive, some worker at the house, somebody at the house called an ambulance for her because she was unconscious. And, you know, they were worried she was going to die. So they called an ambulance for her.
There was an ambulance for her called before she's ever, the same day before she's ever, like, oh, wow.
And the driver of the ambulance and the technician of the ambulance are two people who have confirmed these things.
Wow.
But they've never. So they get to the house and they're trying to resuscitate her, and they are resuscitating her. They say that they see color coming back into her face, and then she's alive at that point. And then her doctor comes in, the psychiatrist, and he says, stop trying to resuscitate her. You need to stop right now. And he pulls out this big ass syringe. He fills up the syringe with some liquid from his doctor bag. And the way he does it is he like counts her ribs and like moves her boob and diagonally stabs it into her, and it didn't go in properly. So instead of taking it out and doing it properly, he breaks her rib and it stabs into her heart. And at that point she died.
What?
Within a couple minutes of that's when she died. James Hall was the name of the guy, I believe, who was the ambulance guy. I believe.
And so those guys corroborated this whole story of how she was.
Mm-hmm. And he's taken 14 polygraphs and passed all of them.
Wow. Okay. So because I read about the autopsy report, and they said it has already been like thrown out, which the original police report is nowhere to be found either. But that's interesting because in the original autopsy, the coroner, who was not the chief medical examiner, he was like a junior medical examiner, which in a case like this, like with a high profile individual, you would want to have your best foot forward, so to speak. But that guy said that he did not find any injection sites. That's like in the original autopsy report.
Allegedly. So this all happened in the guest house. This whole thing happened in the guest house. So she died in the guest house. And on the tapes, you can apparently hear that they need to move her back into the bedroom, and they place her upside down. And the reason they do that is because all of the blood in her body is going to rush forward at that point and pool in that area and make it more difficult to find any kind of injection site because of the way that it was placed. So that's what I don't know I don't know anything about medical doctorness, but that's what they said.
That makes sense.
So this is 4 to 5 hours before the LAPD is even notified. 4 to 5 hours. So I think this was around midnight that this happened. But yeah, 12:10 p.m. At 12:10 p.m., the cops pull over Peter and Bobby. Or at 12:10 a.m.
12:10 a.m.
It's like...
Yeah,
in the morning, they pull over Bobby and Peter, and they're flying. Like driving really fast. That's why they
just killed someone. Yeah, they killed someone. Oh my
And something
God.
else that they were saying, they were saying that her career was not in shambles. Like, she was still highly sought off after she had a ton of deals lined up. She was getting offered $100,000 a week from Vegas, which is insane money in 1962.
Dude,
like,
I don't even want to.
Yeah, her studio wanted to rehire her, and like, she was 36. She was like supposed to, like, it was going to be like this big comeback. Like, she was actually like turning a corner on it.
That's what I was going to say, is that her friends reported that, because they're like, she didn't fucking kill herself. She had made plans for the next day and the day after, and that she also had been seeking treatment with the point of reducing her drug intake, and that she had been seeing doctors and following doctors' orders. So like, she was trying to improve herself and like her life. So that makes sense. And I don't even, whoever said that her career was in shambles, like, she's fucking Marilyn Monroe.
Boo.
Though I'm sure there was serious issues happening, but to say, you know, that she was,
Yeah, so they were saying that the motive for the doctor was because that they had also become sexually involved, which is take away his license to be a therapist at that point.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was also involved with the Kennedys, and so he thinks that the Kennedys was like, look, everything's about to go up in shit. You got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I
Wow.
don't
Because
know.
I was wondering about the doctor. Like, why? What does the doctor get out
Yeah,
of that? But I mean,
yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
So
I
he actually
also
wrote. He wrote
wait. Who?
about her that he was having those
Oh,
feelings. It like one of his reports has that clinical term in it, and so like it's confirmed.
why? What an idiot!
I
Like,
know.
why just write down evidence of? Because you're basically, I mean, you're breaking. Maybe it's not a law, but you're definitely that is
Yeah. It's
severely.
illegal to sleep with your patient. It's not illegal to have feelings for your patient. Like,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So that's probably where that
you know.
term comes. It's the feeling part. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not
Okay.
like the sex thing. He was admitting
Right.
feelings, I believe. Not
I
the
also
latter.
found that they uncovered later, like this is one of those in the 2000s. They found out that 5 days before she died, she went on a trip to Lake Tahoe with a bunch of other stars. It was like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis
Yeah,
Jr.
uh-huh.
Frank Sinatra
Mhm.
was really close with the Kennedys, and so it was believed that he invited her on this trip to try to convince her
To
not to
talk to
go
her.
public about the whole thing, and that she left the trip early because she got drunk and belligerent, which also goes back to
Oof.
what you said about this convenient way to portray her, like she's all fucked up, she's just like a
She's
burden
so
to
fucked
everybody
up. She's
around
just doing
her.
drugs all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know
Very
what, I get drunk
convenient.
and belligerent regularly, so and that doesn't mean I
I'm
deserve to
not
get.
suicidal.
Exactly, right, exactly. So,
I just
um,
like to party.
yeah, because I like
You
to
know what I'm
party.
saying? I like it's like a tuxedo t-shirt. It means like I'm formal, but I also like to party.
I like to party.
I believe that I don't know, I kind of do believe that the doctor stabbed her.
I
I truly do.
mean, yeah, that's the thing is like these, like, it makes sense. And there's the opportunity. What did they say? It's opportunity, motive, and there's three things.
Ability?
Yeah, something like that. That's what
It's
I was
like
gonna say.
something like
Ability.
that.
Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah. Or okay, so this is actually with the Freedom of Information Act in 2007. There was a bunch of documents
Okay.
released.
Okay.
And it says there's some documents that basically imply that Robert F. Kennedy was complicit in an attempt to induce her suicide, which can also be like a like pushing her to, like, that doesn't even have to be like actually doing it. That could even be like pushing her towards killing herself. But it also implies an organized plot by the Kennedys, Peter Lawford, Dr. Ralph Greenson, the housekeeper, and Pat Newcomb, which was her secretary and press agent, which I was kind of like, meh. And when they said the housekeeper too, I was like, really? But then when you put it like how you were explaining it, how the housekeeper and the therapist were like being all fucking sketch and weird. And they say that the
Because the
housekeeper,
housekeeper didn't come forward for a long time.
well, and she didn't call the cops like right away either. She called the doctor, which I thought was weird. I mean, like, in a situation like that, you never really know what you would do. But I thought it was a little bit weird that she called the doctor first before calling the police. If you think something's seriously, seriously wrong, you call the fucking police and then call the doctor. But
I
she
think
called the
she knew
doctor,
that
waited for him to
Marilyn
get there.
I think she knew Marilyn was in over her head with some very seriously powerful people, and she was afraid for
Yeah.
her own safety, and so she just did whatever she was told.
I also saw that. Did you see that the doctor prescribed her a very large amount of those? That one of them said Seconal and the other one said Nembutal. I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. I think they're both sedatives. But he'd prescribed her 60. She had went to him like 3 days before, and she was seeing him regularly because she was taking medications and whatever. She's seeing this doctor regularly, but he prescribed her 60 of these pills like 2 or 3 days before she died, which was not normal because it's a very large amount and she's seeing him all the time. So there was really no reason for him to prescribe her 60 of anything. She also, I don't know if this was written or if it was said to someone, but she was afraid of Peter Lawford. She said that she believed that he would harm her. She said he might harm me, poison me, or something else. Like she was afraid of what he might do to her. And he also is recorded saying that she was known to attempt suicide and that she was inclined to fake a suicide in order to invoke sympathy. So he was planting those seeds.
Yes, definitely. I believe that there was a very deliberate image being painted of this woman.
Yeah.
And I don't buy it. I buy some of it, not all of it.
Right. I mean, of course.
I believe that she did some drugs and, overdid that.
Yeah, and I saw that they put up an offer, a $10,000 reward for anybody that could produce her diary. That was never able to be found. They never found it.
So I heard what happened. What happened with the diary is that the housekeeper ended up finding it, giving it to the coroner. The coroner's assistant put it in a locker and locked it up, and then
it went missing. Oh, okay. So very obviously stolen at that point. Even if it's because it would have been, the idea would have been that it was stolen if it was never recovered from her house. But the fact that it was recovered from her house and then it was taken from a separate location. Wow. Okay.
So what did you said that some stuff got mailed to her teacher.
So the teacher, that was us. It was actually not anything super, super juicy. It was a letter from the Kennedy's younger sister to Marilyn, basically corroborating the idea that there was an affair. She was like, oh, you and Bobby are the new it thing. And we would love for you to come and visit when he comes back east, when he comes home to visit. So it was just like a evidence that affair definitely did happen, which I think was already
playing with her.
Yes. Well, did you see about the in 1961 she sings Happy Birthday to JFK on stage? They're at a show.
Yes.
And she sings in this Happy Birthday. Very Mr. sexy. President. Yes. Yeah. Very sexy. And somebody said she all but fucked him on stage. She basically it was very clear that she was
imagine being his wife.
Dude, and that's what they said. Jackie Kennedy was fucking fuming and that she blamed the brother, which is so dumb, girl. Your man's fucking trifling. Fucking blame him, but whatever. And okay, so I also saw that because in 1982 the LA the district attorney's office reopened the case because the deputy coroner came forward saying that he had been coerced into signing her death certificate. The original autopsy report is gone. It's nowhere to be found. There was a note written by her that night that did not speak of suicide that also is gone, never found. Like we said, the original police report is gone. That the deputy coroner said, and this is he's under oath, I was told to sign the initial report or that I'd find myself in a situation that I couldn't get out of. So they basically told him you can
threatened him.
Really fuck you. Yes. Yeah. And also Pat Newcomb said that they made plans to go to the movies the next day and she made plans to go visit her lawyer 2 days later.
That who makes an appointment with their lawyer? A lawyer? Really? I understand fake plans to throw people off, but your lawyer?
Yeah, exactly. Very particular.
And on that note, we'll be right back.
Yes.
We'll see you in just one moment.
We'll be right back. We're back.
Wow. I lost a lot of respect for the Kennedys.
Honestly, the Kennedys might be, you know what? We should do a whole, have you ever heard how there's a conspiracy around the Kennedy family in general?
Oh yeah. Have you heard about the Marigold?
I haven't. I may be.
Marigold Kennedy. Sure. So she was possibly on the spectrum for autism or something. And so their family is really big on image and whatever. They were really big on image. And so they ended up getting her a lobotomy. And it basically incapacitated her to where she could not take care of herself anymore. And so they put her in an institution.
That's what a fucking lobotomy fucking does.
Yeah, so they just threw her
Fucking
into an
idiot.
institution, left her in there to rot until like 2007 when the parents died. They had lied and they said that she was off studying to become a doctor somewhere. And
For 40 years.
yeah, and
or
then
whatever.
the parents ended up dying, and that's when they found out that she was in this institution. I think she died there too.
Holy moly, that's not even on the same freaking. I was just talking about how
Kennedys.
all of the Kennedys, everybody dies in like
Mysteriously.
weird ways. So
Yeah, like
many
plane crashes.
deaths. Yes, so many
We
deaths.
should
There
talk
was
about the
just
Kennedys.
we need to do a whole episode on that whole family because there's like literally like a dozen deaths that are strange. Like maybe even more than that, maybe like 15 people. It's like a lot of people in that family have died in weird
Did something
ways.
happen recently?
There was a great grandchild of one of them, JFK or Robert Kennedy, that died drowning at like the family. And then there was like another grandkid that died of an overdose. There's been a lot, literally up until like that happened probably like 2015. Maybe I might be off on that, but it was fairly recently. We should definitely do an episode on the Kennedys for sure.
Bro, like
take a
it
bong
is so
rip?
crazy. Like the higher you, yeah, I would love to, but it's so crazy. Like the higher you get up in power, like the weirder people get. Like Jeffrey Epstein and shit. That shit was real. Convicted, jail, convicted, jail,
Straight to jail.
jail. Like that happened. They were trafficking women. And so all
Did
these
you
people
hear-
who has all these crazy stories about like the Clintons and all of that, like they're true. They're fucking true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, did you see how Ghislaine Maxwell said that she'll release, there's 8 names of 8 people that they were keeping secret.
She said,
so I'm
not holding
interested
them
to
down
find
no
out.
more. She said,
Yep.
fuck this.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to jail
Word,
for the rest of my life. Fucking don't care anymore.
You're going down with me, bitch.
Yeah.
Gross.
If you are not driving or operating any machinery, as I said earlier, take a bong rip with us right now.
It's a time.
Fucking bitches. Are you almost?
Hold on. Okay. She's packed. I'm ready.
Okay. Cheers, bitch.
Cheers.
Woo.
Guess how many emails I'm looking at in my inbox right now?
Oh, God. 10,000.
10,007.
Shut up! Oh my God. That makes you. Oh, were you lying?
No.
Oh, that makes me feel really good.
10,007. I wish I could take a picture for you to show you, but yeah.
That's funny.
Exactly that. Wow. Well, dang, dude. Poor Marilyn. Imagine she could be alive today. She would just be like old. She was like 30 years younger than Betty.
Yeah, she was 1 year older than my grandpa, or excuse me, 1 year younger than my grandpa. So she'd be 94, 5.
Oh, I thought she was way younger than Betty.
96. No,
she was
my
younger than Betty then.
My grandpa is 70 years older than me. He was born in 25. And so I'm going to be 27 next year. So she would have been 96 this year, I guess. Would have been 96, yeah.
We could have lived through the Marilyn era a little bit.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. Robbery. Highway robbery.
I know, but it's funny to think about those kinds of things because if, when people die young, they have a different public perception.
Like Selena.
Yeah. Exactly. And Selena definitely would have been, she's iconic as fuck, but and Marilyn, but how would their images maybe have changed as time went on if they were able to actually grow and
yeah. Dang, why are we out here murdering people, bro? Like, I can't even imagine doing that. I can't even kill a spider.
Oh,
you just want to end a life,
but I can't.
I would rather just let it out.
You know what's funny? Let me tell you a funny story. The other night, Adam and I got home from dinner, and there was this absolutely massive cricket outside the front door. I mean, it's like huge. It's a thick old body, and it was a big boy. And I had already posted on my story a dead one. Like one of the workers, one of the builder people had killed one in my garage and left it. Right. And so I was like, I posted on my story and I said, thank you for whoever did this before I got here. So I didn't have to do it. And a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, it's just a cricket. Like, leave the cricket. He's not going to hurt you. He's not going to bite you. It's just a cricket. And so we got home like last week and there was a big chunky fucking cricket, a huge bug outside the front door. And I was like, just leave it. He doesn't bite. He's not going to hurt us. Just leave him. Adam found him in his office alive like 2 days ago, last week.
He made it in. He entered the premise. How do you know that was him?
That's what I said. I was like, how do we know it's the exact same cricket? And Adam's like, we don't.
You live in Texas.
It makes sense. But I haven't seen any others. That's the only one I've seen, so.
That's the only big-bodied bitch. He's the only one bold enough to pop out.
As far as I know, but once it gets warmer, it's going to be fucked. I'm going to have all types of animals in here. Our neighbor told Adam last night that he put snake repellent like along our fence. And I was like, I just like forgot.
That's important for your dogs.
Yeah. Well, yes, completely.
Oh my God.
I forgot that there's going to be snakes. It's been wintertime. They've been sleeping. They've been kicking it, but there's absolutely exist.
There's a snake in my boat.
There's a snake in my boat.
Somebody's poisoned the water hole.
Wait, what's another one? What's another one? Because we were just talking about it last week, I think. I can't remember.
Reach for the sky.
Reach for the sky. That's it. That's funny. Should we take one more bong rip before we go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Why the fuck not?
Period.
I'm smoking on some grape drank breath.
Drank breath?
Right? Yeah, I thought it was grape dank breath, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I read it closer today, and I was like, oh.
Oh, great
right.
Drank breath. Not my dog's having a staring contest right over my trash can that has an empty plate in it.
Oh, they're both go at it.
Yeah, standing over it, just looking at each other. Yeah, fucking no.
Oh, no. Sorry, I'm going to have to grind up some weed real quick.
That's okay. No problemo. No problema. Well. If there's any other
all right, here we go.
Interesting conspiracy theories that you guys know of that you want us to tackle on the podcast,
I'll watch one documentary 10 minutes before we film and regurgitate that information back to you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh.
Okay.
All right, guys. I think we're gonna.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That's exactly what we're gonna do. Thank you guys for watching.
I hope everybody, have a great day. Make good choices. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other, and we will see you next fucking week.
Period. Thanks for coming.
All over Joya's face.
Oh.